Hello, my fellow light-being humans. So this is an impromptu live Q&A because I feel very strongly that we have entered into perhaps this shift that everybody's been talking about, including myself. My interactions with my light being friends seems to agree with this sentiment. So what we're going to do today is I'm just going to talk about what's going on. I am going to open this up for question and answers. Bear in mind, if you ask stupid questions, I'm probably not going to answer them. Anyway, there's not a lot of people here, but I mean, you can ask whatever you want. So more and more people will show up. I still have to upload a graphic here. This is very last minute. So I'm still getting myself ready. I decided to go live because there's at least some powerful light being who wants me to go live and perhaps do some Q&A. So I always say yes to whatever they tell me. So okay, here's the thing. We'll get to that. We'll get to that. All right. So as I've been saying, my experience, my feeling about where we're at right now is that both worlds, again, these terms 3D to 5D, they're just words, terms that people are using, because if we're talking about dimensional shifts, then that's a whole other concept, because dimensions means spatial things where, instead of going up, down, left, right, backwards and forwards, you can also go up and beyond and around and disappear and appear. And so that's not happening, at least for me. So I'm still in a third dimensional body. So the real idea is that perhaps we're going up to a higher frequency within the third dimension, which would still be at a high enough frequency that you wouldn't be able to see them. So, lots of people like to say, I'm already in 5D and I'm already, well, I mean, if I take that literally, then you would be incapable of typing on a computer and being on YouTube and being seen. You wouldn't be able to talk to anybody on your phone. You'd be in a completely different physical reality, even if it was within the third dimension. So before I get lost in the weeds, I don't know where this is going to go, but what I do know is that it feels very, very clear to me that this is the time where we are now able to go into two different realities, two different worlds, and right now they're both occupying the same space. The feeling that I'm getting I don't need to be right about any of this, but the feeling that I'm getting is that this liminal space may only last between now and the end of next year. And I have reasons for that. A lot of that has to do with Vedic astrology. I'm not going to get into all of that here. That's very long and drawn out. But it also has something to do with me. This is something that I've known looking at my Vedic astrology, that starting earlier this year, the planet, it's not a planet, but Ketu, which is the south node of the moon, which is actually a portal to infinity. The north node of the moon is the portal that brings things in. So if you want to know how you got here, you came through the north node of the moon. That's how you were born into this reality. You leave this reality through the south node of the moon. That is a portal to the higher frequency. So that portal, called Ketu, is right now, it's right over my natal moon, which means that my mind, my intuition is now directly connected to this portal. And so this is a great time to be, somebody wants to work with me, this is the time to do it. Because I'm hooked up. And what I know is going to happen towards the end of next year is that Ketu is going to go over my natal ascendant. So your ascendant is the portal through which you come through. I know I said that about Ketu. It sounds like I'm getting confused. But your ascendant is where you physically popped into this reality. Again, I'm talking Vedic astrology, not Western. If you're a Western astrologer, I highly encourage you to use the sidereal zodiac, not the tropical zodiac. It's 24 degrees off. Everything. The planets, everything are off. So your ascendant in Vedic astrology is where you popped into existence, and it determines, it does more than determine your personality. It tells you where you came from. So my ascendant, I came through in Leo in the nakshatra Magha, and the pada, or the section 1, I believe. It's either, which one is it? Is it 1 or 4? Because this is important to understand. So I'm leading up to that. I don't know what's going to happen, but I'm getting some information that some things are going to happen next year, and I don't know what that's going to mean. It could mean me disappearing. It could just mean me being downloaded some powerful information, but something big is coming for me towards the end of next year. I'm just gonna double check my ascendant. Magha pada 1. So Magha is what it sounds like. It's the Vedic word. We have it in English. It's the exact same word, it's just a different pronunciation. We have mighty, Mighty, which used to be pronounced Maichtig, Mach. That Mach. In fact, the word more, More, actually, when you look at the original word, it was Mach Er, an increase in greatness. So Mach means great, powerful. Magha is how it's pronounced in Sanskrit. So I was born in Magha Nakshatra Pada 1. Pada 1 that section of Magha is the ancestors. So since I was born in that, it means that that's where my essence is. So you can find this out in your own Vedic astrological chart. Find out what nakshatra and what pada you were born in, and you'll find out where your essence is, like where the essence of your consciousness is now. So this is why leaders are, Leo the lion is associated with kings. The idea is that kings are coming from this Magha nakshatra, which means that the ancestors are guiding them, which means the light beings, the gods. So a true ruler is somebody who channels the ancestors for the benefit of the people on the planet. So something's going to happen for me around that time when Ketu goes over my ascendant. So that means I'm already, because Ketu is the power behind Magha. Ketu is the power behind the first pada of Magha. So that power is going to be increased exponentially in me. And so I don't know what's going to happen, but they're starting to say this is what's going to happen. And for me, something very sudden happened on my birthday this year. I had an awareness of a complete shift in where I'm going to live and how I'm going to live my life. And I'm going to stay as I do. I have a house here on the beach in Florida that I can rent during the good times from summer into fall, which is like right now it's like Hawaii here, even though we're in the end of September. It's like 85 degrees outside, the water's 85 degrees, and it's just, it's like being in, and I live surrounded by all this forest. It's like being on a tropical island. So I get to stay here during that time. The rest of the year, this house is rented out to other people, and instead of me groveling around looking for a place to live here, I am going to travel across the country, and I'm going to go to, now all these surf parks are popping up all over the place. And so I'm going to make it all the way out to California, and then I'm going to make my way back. And on my way back, I am going to go up to the mountains there, and I'm going to spend the month up in the mountains there, and the light beings are saying something's gonna happen. So this is a long way of me telling you that this shift is here. I have already felt it. For me, it's already begun, and I'm saying a lot. That it takes a lot for me to say that. And again, time will tell. I'm not attached to any of this. If a month from now I'm back in being, miserable in 3D, I'll let you know. But right now, something powerful has shifted within me, and I don't see the world the same way. I'm aware that there's all kinds of crazy stuff going on. I'm aware that, people are getting unalived and all kinds of crazy things are trying to happen. I know all of that is still happening, but that is not my world anymore. And I'm now at this moment, and it's my intention to stay here. I'm living in just going in the flow from moment to moment, and really realizing that this world is a projection. So you've been told, rightly so, that this world is an illusion. So there's two ways to interact with this 3D illusion. One is where you are being hypnotized into seeing a false, it's not a false reality, it's a reality. You're being hypnotized into seeing a reality and experiencing a reality. That's passive. And the other way is to take control over what you project into your reality. And so this is where I'm intending to be. And if I look back on it, past few years, that has been the case. I have gotten messed up and frightened and fearful, but it's been a complete waste of time every time that that's happened. Every time that I'm worried about what's going to happen tomorrow, or where I'm going to get this, or where I'm going to get that, everything always falls into place exactly as I want it to. And this latest emergence of my reality of where I'm going to be going and what I'm going to be doing has really opened me up to this, that reality has been here for a while. I just couldn't see it. I wasn't able to see it because I was focused on, I have to have this, A, B, C, D, E, F, G. And as a result of doing this set right here, and in fact, right there, as I was recording that and creating this Dark Warrior of the North set, this Qigong set, the result of doing that is what popped open my mind, and I went, whoa, there's this whole other reality that I'm not seeing. And so I just stepped into it. I just decided to go there. And that's where I am now. And I believe that I'm not the only person who's experienced this. I think a lot of people are. And I think a lot of people will. But it's not passive. You must participate. You must choose your world. You cannot choose your world without taking actions. So all of the nonsense about just getting yourself in the right headspace and, the law of attraction, which has been misunderstood and has been manipulated to make money out of frightened, poverty-conscious people. That's what it's been used for. Look at those people. They make millions of dollars doing their law of attraction seminars where they just do a lot of deep breathing and tell you just be in a happy place and it'll all happen for you. And you follow these people for years on end. And does your life change? Maybe briefly, but then all of a sudden you can't control your negative feelings anymore. And then, according to them, it won't work. So it's just like a drug. It's the same thing that gets people addicted to drugs. The law of attraction. It's one of the worst, most destructive teachings that's been thrown on us. And it's only been taken out of context and only one part of it. So the reality is that this doesn't happen without actions. Now, I can look back and I can see decades of actions that I took that were completely contrary to the way I was feeling. And it is those actions, along with just the natural flow of the things that are changing, that have gotten me to where I am. So this is what I do on this channel. I give you practical actions to take. And I will work with anybody who's willing to follow directions. Not because I need to control anybody, but because, I know what you got to do to get what you want. And if somebody isn't willing to take the actions, there's nothing I can do. I don't have any magic outside of that. The magic is in the actions that you take. The actions that you take will shift your perception, and that is what gives you the ability to move into a different reality. So we're going to talk about that right now. So, how to prepare for this shift. Number one, interdimensional meditation. Anybody can do that. It's free. It won't cost you any money. You can do it from anywhere. As you heard, I didn't say it won't cost you anything. It will cost you something. but it won't cost you any money. And so interdimensional meditation is very simple, and I'm going to tell you what it is. We do it all the time, twice a week. We do this live guided interdimensional meditation. But the most simple thing to do is to do some kind of deep breathing. If you have energy practices or Qigong practices, do those. But do some deep breathing, get your Qi flowing, your energy flowing, your body relaxed. And then simply imagine that you are leaving your physical body, your consciousness is coming out of your body. You don't have to imagine it perfectly, you just have to intend. Okay, I'm imagining I'm going out of my body. Imagine that you go up and out of Earth's atmosphere, and when you're there, you simply send out the mental invitation. Are there any beings of light who love me, who would like to talk to me? I invite you to come and talk to me. I added the phrase, who love me, because so many people are frightened of anything. They're so scared. They don't realize who they are. They're so afraid that they think that there are evil beings out there that are going to tackle them and, do horrible things to them. So if you don't want to be afraid, then you say, are there any light beings out here who love me and want to communicate with me? And then maybe you'll have an experience, maybe you won't, maybe you'll feel something, maybe you'll see something, maybe you won't. I didn't. When I did it, I barely had kind of little thought just sort of jumped into my head, and it just sounded like my own head, and I didn't pay any attention to it. So once you make that invitation, then you imagine that you're coming back down through Earth's atmosphere, and you trace yourself back all the way back to your physical body, and you come back into your physical body. And then you wait. They might show up immediately. It might take them a few minutes. It might take you a few minutes. But you just stay in a meditative space and you wait for something. If you're outside, you might see a ship in the sky. You might see an orb. Sometimes they can't show up in the sky because we've got dark force humans with weapons that will shoot them down. So they sometimes appear at ground level, so that they don't get detected and shot down. So you might see an orb show up somewhere in your field of vision. More than likely, you're going to feel something. And you're going to feel something that feels very spiritual, very loving, but there's going to be an energy about it that will feel intense, powerful, blissful, but also it might be a little bit frightening, only because you've never felt it before. So that's the first thing that everybody should be doing if you're watching this and you want to prepare. Because the beings that can prepare you the most are those beings. So first thing to do is to do the interdimensional meditation. All right, now we have to work on your emotional state. And this is done with the 5 elements. So you can, again, this won't cost anything. You can go Google this now, the 6 healing sounds. You want to go do it? Google it right now. The 6 healing sounds. And those are the 5 elements plus a sound for the central channel. And so I've done videos where I've told you exactly what those are. So you can go and watch those. I won't take up time in this video to go through it. We work with the 5 elements in the Maoshan energy practice very intensely. We work with them a lot. And we use 2 different methods. But, the stuff you find online is going to take you through a method which will empower each of the elements. And the elements are associated with your emotions. And one of the problems is, as I've been talking about with my student Patrick on the YouTube channel, there's more videos coming of him and I talking, he's a TCM practitioner, is that people get stuck in one emotion. And your emotions need to flow. They need to flow in a certain order. And so when you are stuck, either because you don't have enough energy or you've got too much energy in one emotion, which of course is associated with the 5 organs, your physical health and your emotional stability are not separate things. If you've got physical illness of any kind, your 5 elements are not in balance and they are not flowing. Period. End of discussion. The fastest way to heal your physical body is to get the elements empowered and or cleansed and flowing, which means you have to have all of your feelings. You have to have all of your negative feelings and your positive feelings. You have to let them flow. You have been brought up in a society that has programmed you to avoid your emotions or to stuff them or to get stuck in them. You know, when I watch YouTube on my big smart TV here, it throws up these advertisements, and I want to say 75% of the advertisements are for different medications. And I'm looking at them and I'm going, oh, so you want people to be imbalanced in that element and in that emotion. And you are being molded. So if you want to be healthy, you have got to get your 5 elements moving. So if you haven't, I teach the 5 healing sounds, by the way, here at thunderwizard.com at the Warrior 90-Day Lightning Qigong. If you go looking for it, you know, there's so many videos. I actually had somebody cancel. Somebody who came on and loved the practices and loved the energy, and they subscribed to the Warrior 90-Day Lightning Qigong and then went on and on about how great it was, and then within a week said, I want my money back. I said, why? I thought you just put a comment saying how in love you were with the whole thing. What are you talking about? Person said, there's too much. There's too much material, and I'm overwhelmed. And I said, well, you don't have to do all of them. I want my money back. It's too much. It's just, you know. So if you go looking around, you'll find the 5 elements and the 6 healing sounds. But you don't have to do my thing. You can Google it. People, you know, listen. I need to pay rent like everybody else, but I'm here to give you what you need. So you can go find that. You don't need me for that. All right, so step 3 is the beginner Maoshan Qigong. I am giving you the tools that I have. I wouldn't trade the tools that I have for anything else out there. I've tried it all. I was a Kundalini yoga instructor. I know about Kundalini. I know about yoga. And that has its place. I still teach that in the Warrior 90-Day Lightning Qigong. I teach Kundalini yoga amongst other things in there. But in terms of the energy practices, I now know that these energy practices for me are the only path to higher frequency, which is why I focus on it all the time. So to do the beginner Maoshan Qigong, by beginner Maoshan Qigong, I mean doing the Warrior 90-Day Lightning Qigong and or doing the middle bottom there, the Maoshan Summoning the Immortals Moving Qigong. That can be found thunderwizard.com. Click on shop. You will see it. Get it. Start doing it. It's very simple. Anybody can do it. That is part of the beginning. Also, Celestial Qigong, same thing. Hit thunderwizard.com, click on shop. You see it on the bottom right there, the Celestial Qigong. So I'm saying that because people come to me, and the truth is you don't have to go through, you don't want to go to the highest level stuff right away because your head will burst like somebody smashing a berry. You do want to get your body adjusted to the energy, but it doesn't mean you have to start all the way at the bottom and stay there for 10 years. Your energy level will tell you where you want to go. So you can also do the celestial qigong. That is very powerful and very healing. Will get you tapped in. If you're working with the 5 elements and you're doing the celestial qigong, you're going to start connecting. You're going to open up portals to other dimensions and communicate with these higher dimensional beings, which, as I said, is the most powerful tool that we have. Is they are here to help us as much as we are willing to accept their help. And why I say as much as we are willing, because it's challenging to try and live in their reality. Listen, I've almost walked away from this stuff. I've wanted to walk away from what I'm doing. I can't. Karmically, I can't. This is my job. I can't walk away. Some people have walked away and they haven't come back. Some people have walked away and then come back because they just needed a break and they needed to get their head together. And that tells you how powerful this shift is and why it's so important to have the tools to be able to do it. You don't have to do this alone. And you don't have to do it without tools. The tools will make living on this planet much, not only easier, but eventually you'll see your world in it. I can see my world in it, and I'm really excited about living it. I don't know how much longer I'm going to be on this 3D plane. I might be here for another 30 years. I might not. But for right now, I'm really excited. And I haven't been this excited about my life in a very long time. So anyway, that's the beginning stuff. The summoning the immortals, the celestial qigong. Whoops. And here's a new one. So the Xuan Wu qigong I'm having is step 4, which you can start at any time. You don't have to be prepared. If you want to go straight into it, you can. You're better off maybe doing some other stuff because it might be a little complicated, but that's okay. Qigong, you have to jump in. If you're going to learn qigong, you got to jump into the pool anyway. So I recommend that. This Dark Warrior of the North set, which can be found here at maoshan.thunderwizard.com. Just to let you know, I toyed with the idea because it's such a special and powerful set. I toyed with the idea of charging $1,000 for it. And the reason is because I've found that people learn when they sacrifice for something. I've been teaching these practices for 30 years. And every time that not every time, I take that back. Many times when I've taught it for free, people didn't appreciate it and didn't learn it. But if it costs you something, you're going to remember it and you're going to learn it. And so my job is to teach. I decided against that. So I cut the price by, almost 2/3. So you can see that at maoshan.thunderwizard.com. Anybody can do that set. If you want, you can try and copy what you see me doing here. That's right there. I'm gathering the yang energy because Xuan Wu is also the mastery of yin and yang. So the Xuan Wu is the next step in this. 5 element spirit fighting. So for somebody who has been called to be a guardian angel of the higher frequency, the new earth, 5D earth, there are people who have a destiny to protect that world and to protect that energy. And for those people, this is the spirit fighting. And so I recommend that. If you feel that calling, then I recommend that you do those practices because that's what these practices are for. And that can be done here at thunderwizard.com. Again, you click on the shop and you'll see there's the wood element, and then you see up there on the top right the metal, and then the fire, and then the water, and then the earth. And you would do it in that order: wood, metal, fire, water, earth. Start with the wood, If you want to get all of them, go here to maoshan.thunderwizard.com. You can get all of them at once. Save some money. All right. Sorry, I keep hitting the wrong thing here. All right, the spirit fighting forms, that is, we haven't finished those yet. I've uploaded the first one, which is the Hands of Infinity, which is the navel center. This will give you power over physical reality. Xuan Wu gives you power of seeing and intending your reality. And the Hands of Infinity give you power over that reality. The second set, the butterfly hands, which I have not taught the full set for the middle, that is designed to turn you into an immortal. So either living forever youthfully or leaving and becoming, your physical body shifts up. That's the point of that. And then there's the third set, which is the Assassin's Fist, which is the power to destroy demons. So if you've been called to have that power, if you've been called to become one of these, call them guardian angels, then I encourage you to do that. The 5 element spirit fighting and the spirit fighting forms. I separate the 5 element spirit fighting from the spirit fighting forms because there are people that may be destined to go up to the 5 element spirit fighting forms because they're working with the 5 elements. So they're, you've got up here, you've got your Archangel Michael, and down here you've got your foot soldiers, right? So this would be the 5 element spirit fighting, and this would be up here, the third one. We've got 3 of them. So who knows where you're supposed to be in that if you're called to be a protector. And number 7, this is important, work with a mentor others. I say this all the time, and so few people take me up on this. The most powerful way for you to shift is to work with me personally. There's some of you listening to me. You have worked with me in the past. There are some of you listening to me who are doing the practices, doing some of these advanced stuff, and you're not working with me. So it's, your progression will go much faster if you're working with me. And that's because you can't teach yourself. Nobody can do that. You have to have a mentor. You have to have a teacher. So I'm not the only game in town. You want to find somebody else, but you've got to have somebody else that's able to reflect back to you what your thought process is so that you can shift your thinking up. Because we tend to get into echo chambers with ourselves. We all do it. So that is 7. Working with a mentor and mentoring others is just as important. When you're teaching somebody else, 90% of the time you are telling them what you need to hear. The universe has set it up like that. Somebody comes along, you know exactly how to help them, and you stop and you listen to what you're saying, and you go, I need to do what I just told this person to do. So mentoring others and being mentored, this is extremely important right now. Listen, we've got to get out of our egos. We've got to get out of, as a teacher, I can't tell you how many excuses I have to wade through all the time. Excuses and justifications and resistance. I can't tell you how often I have to, and I lose patience. If people email me telling me why they can't, they ask, hey, I want to do this, and I'll go, okay, well then do that or get this, and then they give me a reason why they can't do it, that thing. I have no patience for it anymore. Because I have no interest in helping you sabotage your own success. I have no interest in that. And I'm not going to be a part of it. So learn, as I tell you guys, when light beings come to me, and they don't come to me very often and say, you need to do this. What they do is they come and they ask me a question. and they'll say, would you like us to tell you, fill in the blank? Would you like to become a fill in the blank? Whatever it is, if they ask a question, do you want to know? Would you like to become? Would you like to receive? Would you like to see? Would you like to know? Whenever they ask me a question, I always say yes, even if I don't understand what they're talking about or it scares the crap out of me. I always say yes. I encourage you to get out of the habit of saying no. Get out of the habit of finding excuses for why you can't do what you want. Have what you want. Be what you want. Stop buying into the excuses. Stop defending them. People defend their excuses. They love them. They hold on to them. Get rid of them. So just, I told you the shift that I'm going to make is I'm going to now spend half the year driving around the country, living in different, I'm going to be living in deserts, I'm going to be living in mountains, I'm going to be living in, all kinds of really cool naturey places as I'm going to these surf camps, not surf camps, surfing pools. And it happened because I ended up back here in Florida because I was in Australia. My perfect reality. I loved it there. Everything about it was perfect for me. And I ended up plopping back down here in the United States. I didn't want to live in Hawaii. It's crowded. There's crime. There's homelessness. It's expensive. In the surfing world, it's crowded. There's localism. It's just, I'm too old for that nonsense. So that's out of the question. I don't want to live in another country. I want to live in my own country. I only had one choice if I wanted to live in a warm tropical place and have clean ocean to surf in and uncrowded beaches, and that's here in Florida, here in North Florida anyway. And so when the surfing here is good and the weather is good, it's my fantasy. But for half of the year, it sucks. It's cold for 3 months, like really cold, like barely above freezing cold. And the water is freezing and there's no waves. I'm miserable. And I didn't know where else to go. So for the past however long I've been here in Florida, here's what I did every single morning. I would get up wanting to die. Like, I just don't want to live on this planet anymore. I hate it here. I hate this. The only time that I would get really happy is when some waves would show up and I'd get to go surfing for a few days. And then the waves would go away. And then I'd start getting very sad. Here's what I did. I told myself every day how lucky I was to be alive. I told myself that I live my perfect reality. And I'm constantly looking for ways to improve my reality. And I would ask myself the same questions every day. What do I want? And I would come up with the same list every day. I want to live in a tropical place and I want to surf. I want to surf at least 2-3 times a week. I can't survive if I can't do that. I have to have that. How can I get that? Every day, for months, I would ask myself, how can I get exactly what I want? And I would try and figure it out. And I came up with goose egg every time. But I didn't stop. I didn't give up. I didn't complain. Well, maybe, not like some people. I didn't complain and start drinking and, hammering myself in the neck with things. I then started telling myself lies. This is called contrary action. I started telling myself that I only lived here in this house for half of the year, that I was on vacation, which is partly true. I can only live in this house for 6 months out of the year and then I have to leave because other people rent it out. So I started telling myself that I'm living in a vacation world and this is my vacation home. And I only live here for 6 months out of the year. And the rest of the time, I'm doing exactly what I want. And I had no idea what that was. And every day, as I would walk along the beach thinking about how cold it was going to get and how the waves were going to go down to nothing, I would tell myself, that's okay. I'm just on vacation here. I only live here a few months out of the year. The rest of the year, I'm doing exactly what I want. I don't know where that is yet, but I'm living and doing exactly what I want. And so I say yes to my soul, even when I don't understand it, even when it frightens me, because the thought of that was very frightening. Not having a place to live, not knowing where I was going to live. Very frightening. Being alone. Having the kind of business that I do, where I live month to month. So I'm trying to tell you that I did not give myself the right to have excuses. I did not give myself the right to say no to everything that I wanted. So when I come along, or not just me, but anything, but in terms of me working with clients and people and viewers, I come along and I say, I have these tools, and here's the crazy power that these things can give you. And I'm not lying about that. I'm telling the truth. And I make them available, and people go, oh, I can't do that. Oh, I can't afford that. Oh, I don't want to. I have no space in me for that. It doesn't matter. I don't need you to want to do the things that I teach. I don't care about that. I cannot tolerate co-signing somebody who's unwilling to take the risks to have and do what they want. Those are the people that I want to work with. And I'm here to tell you, it is my belief that that attitude is what helps us shift. We're talking about shifting. These two realities are here, and we have to choose our world. You cannot choose your world if you are in the habit of making excuses, of denying yourself what you want, and saying no when light beings, when the universe reaches out to you and says, hey, would you like this? And allowing your fear to stop you. Those people aren't going to make it. It's my opinion. I could be wrong. You've got to be willing to go through Odin's death to self, dying to yourself, dying to what we call our ego. That is not a pleasant process, but it is done by saying yes. Saying yes to the spirit, saying yes to the power, saying yes to the exciting, to the frightening. So, continuous contrary action. I've been living that for 40 years. A lot of you don't know me, and you don't know what I've gone through and what I've lived with all of my life. A lot of you don't know, and it's okay, you don't need to know. But if you look at me as a teacher and you want what I have, I can tell you that the single most valuable and powerful tool that I have is the tool of taking contrary action. Contrary means opposite. And contrary action means taking action that is completely opposite to your impulses, your fears, your addictions, your laziness, a lot of your feelings. Some people mistake their impulses for feelings. This is again why you need a mentor, so you can figure out the difference, because a lot of people don't know the difference. They have an impulse and they think it's a feeling, and they have to do it. And they'll come up with all kinds of excuses to do that impulse. and make up reasons how not to do the things that are frightening to them or even emotionally painful. Continuous contrary action is the single most powerful tool that I have. And it is the one thing that has allowed me to have the relationship that I have with these beings. You know, this picture here, that kind of stuff, for me to be able to survive that kind of energy transmission that happens to me a lot. In order to survive that, I live in contrary action. So you don't have to be me. You don't have to have my karma or my destiny or my reality. But at some level, everybody needs this, or you won't function here. You won't. I don't think people who are unwilling to live that are going to make it. Don't take that as a negative. I think everybody listening to me can make it, and I want to help you do that. Plan your life only on your desires. I want to give you permission to stop trying to live in this third dimensional narrative. I want to give you permission to stop living your life based on your bank account, your credit cards, your credit report. I counsel a lot of people, and that's helpful to me because most people live in their little bubble of their life. So they think that what's happening to them is unique to them. I understand that. But as a teacher, I get to see so many people and talk to so many people. I can see trends of what's going on. And one of them is more and more people are finding it impossible to continue with their chosen career. Either their career is falling apart, or they just can't bring themselves to do it anymore. They just can't do it. It just like grinds them like sandpaper. They just can't do it. And I want to tell you, this is my opinion. The idea of going to college or university and getting a degree now is the most ridiculous thing I can imagine doing. So people doing that because they think they need a career. Why do you need a career? So you can have a job that will pay you money. And then all those jobs are designed to do is to do one of two things, or on some kind of sliding scale of these two things. One of them at the bottom level is to give you just enough money to survive, but not enough money for you to leave your job. So you'll be stuck there. You know, it reminds me of, way back in the 1980s when Poland was trying to leave the Soviet Union. And what the Communist Party in Poland did to keep people from rebelling was they would give them jobs like mining jobs where they worked 6 days a week, like 12 hours a day. And at the end of those 6 days of the week, on the day off, those people would just drink themselves into a stupor, because that's the only way they could survive that. And then they had to go back to that job. And that is a good understanding of what the workaday world is. I just want you to understand that there are people, a lot of people, who live in their car, who are homeless, who have 2 jobs. That has never happened in history. Never in the United States. That's never been a thing. It's a thing now. So the idea that you can have a job and have a career, and if I just get this degree and then I'll have that career and then I'll be safe, is nonsense. I mean, these careers now are becoming so irrelevant. I'm going to stop there, because if I start getting specific, I might get booted off of YouTube for saying it. But, the people that brought you there's nothing that they say that has any relevance to your well-being anymore. Nothing. And people want to go get degrees in that so that they can have a job. Of course, they're going to be ending up getting into student loans that they're paying off for decades. It's a slavery camp. This whole thing is a slavery camp. It's a Ponzi scheme from start to finish. And the deeper you get into it, trying to make it in this Ponzi scheme, the more trapped you will become. However, the more that you go into your soul and you only live based on what your soul wants, and many of you don't even know what your soul wants, but if you live based on that, you will get the resources to get everything that you want, get all of your physical needs met. This is a rule. This is how the world, the true universe works. You have to pull yourself out of that Ponzi scheme. You have to take your head out of that. And the first thing is to realize that money doesn't exist. It is symbolic. It is not a real thing. We're using it right now, but it's not going to be here much longer. So don't get wrapped up in that. Don't. And what I'm saying is, if you want to go buy something, go buy it. Don't deny yourself anything, because the universe will provide you with what you need to get what you want. 10. Be prepared for anything. I'm talking to myself right now. Be prepared for anything. I don't know what's coming for me this next year. Maybe nothing. Maybe it's just emotionally, psychologically transformative. It might be something far beyond anything I've understood before. But I know something is coming. And I don't believe I'm alone. I believe that it is very likely that this world is going to shift, and I don't know how that's going to look. But I believe that if we haven't passed it yet, we are at the point of no return. There's no going back. And so I want to encourage you to accept this understanding. And you don't have to understand what it means. You don't have to know what to do yet. You can be in the place that I've been, and in many ways I still am. Which is, I don't know what I'm going to do tomorrow. But I know here's what I do today. And I listen to my soul, and I do whatever my soul tells me to do. And my soul just recently told me to completely, totally change my life. And now that I'm really excited about it, when I first started playing with it, it wasn't an exciting idea. It was a frightening idea. And now I look back and realize how ridiculous the fear was. So, that's my spiel for right now. And I'm happy to take any questions. Again, if the way to ask me a question, here's how questions work. You have a desire to know something. You think that I have the answer to that question. That's a question. Okay? Don't ask me to co-sign anything for you. I won't do that anyway. I will know, by the way. I will know where your mind is at within the first few words of your question. So if you're playing games with me, I'm going to know it. If you're playing games with yourself, I'm going to know it. So don't get your feelings hurt if I come at you and I start telling you exactly what I'm seeing. In any case, if you want to, go ahead and ask me any questions. If you want to ask light beings any questions, again, I'm going to screen those too. They're not trained monkeys for your entertainment. If you have a question that I think is valuable for a teacher, I will ask them and see if they have anything they want to say. But I tend not to do that on these live streams because people ask questions like, "Where's my cat?" Things like that. Where are my glasses? That's not how we use our communication with light beings. All right, so Mr. Sparkle says that I'm getting 100% messages. There's a shift coming. There will be no doubt with it gets here. I think he meant when it gets here. Okay, no other questions here? Are you guys still here? There's 14 people here. So if you want me to stay on, I will. If you're all bruised because I was preaching, we can end this if you want. But if you have a question and you'd like to ask me a question, I'll be happy to respond. No? I'm gonna take that as a no. I'll give it a little while longer. All right, so while I'm getting prepared here we go. Thordis. Thordis is Thor's goddess. That's what her name is. Hauk's daughter. Thor's goddess, the daughter of the hawk. Doesn't that sound like, it's like a Native American name. Hawk daughter. All right, Thordis says, do the light beings want to say something to me? Listen, all I can do is tell you what's coming to my head. This is not something I would ever say to you. And I have no idea. Maybe I'm right, maybe I'm wrong. They're asking a question, why are you so desperate to understand us when we know you so well? I wouldn't like hearing that, but maybe I misinterpreted what they said. So let's see. Anything else for Thordis? We're wanting you to come home to us where we are. And there's a hand reaching out to you. They want to pull you to their world. We understand your the word doesn't make sense, discrepancy, and the feeling I get is that there's like this split in you. There's a split in you. So they say, we understand what that is, but you have to trust us, they say. That this is normal. What you're feeling is normal. And on a personal note, again, this might be my projection. I completely understand that. I mean, you guys watched me. I've been living this for 3 years now. So I haven't hidden that. But it's one thing to see it in somebody else, and it's one thing to experience it. Those are two different things. And they say, we've got you. And I see like a hand like this. And they say, we're not going to let you go. All right, Film Sample says, I would like to ask the light beings, what can I do more to surrender to the universe? What are my limitations? Let's see, so, okay, what can What can he do more to surrender to the universe? So that's one question. Start with that. What more can he do? He's got to understand there's no turning back. He keeps looking back. So, there's no looking back. I know a little bit what they're talking about because I know some of the actions you've taken. Some very risky actions that you've taken. And so they're saying there's no turning back. And they say he knows he has to go forward and he thinks that he can't. Meaning that that's a lie. That's just a BS excuse in your mind. It's a lie. So that feeling that you have that you can't go forward is an illusion. It's just your brain trying to talk you out of it. By the way, the most frightening thing you've ever done, the risks that you've taken and moving forward and walking away from the things you've walked away from and jumping off that cliff that you jumped off of, that's the most frightening thing you've ever done, in case you're not aware of it. And so it's okay to accept that this has been, it's understandable that your brain is going to fight you on this. Your fears are going to jump in and try and talk you out of it. And so that thing that says you can't do this is a lie. In fact, as I'm saying it, this is it is a hypnotic suggestion that has been given to you by your family. They programmed it into you so that you would tell yourself, I can't do this. It's a hypnotic suggestion. And of course you can. And the way that you overcome it is that while that thought is going through your brain and that feeling is going through you that says that you can't do it, you do it in the midst of that feeling. That's the only way to break through. Waiting for the feeling to change is never going to happen. The feelings change after the actions change. Actions shift your thinking. What else? The other one, the question, what are my limitations? I don't understand that question. Why would you ask that? Why is that a question? Why is that even a question? What could I possibly say to you that would be helpful to you if I gave you a limitation? I mean, I'm just saying the fact that that is a question you asked is an assumption. You have an assumption in your head that, okay, maybe I can do this much, but then there's this limitation, and so I want to know what that. Why do you want to know what that is? And if we've learned anything, speaking for myself, if I've learned anything from the interdimensional meditations, is that there literally is no limitation. There's none. It doesn't exist. There's no such thing as a limitation. The only reason we're in this frequency is because we keep unconsciously choosing to stay here. When we're able to shift and go beyond it, we'll start seeing new realities. We'll shift to higher frequencies. This is what spirituality has been. True spirituality. This is what, yogis have been doing. This is especially Taoists. Unlike, I'm generalizing here, but unlike, yogis and Buddhists who want to achieve some kind of internal nirvana, which is, freedom, really, I got to tell you something about Buddhism. Buddhism is really about getting out of your head. Because Buddhism is Vishnu, the Buddha. He was an avatar of Vishnu, which is the heart center, which is your emotions and your soul. And Buddha is also the planet Mercury, your intellect. And so becoming a Buddhist means that your soul is trying to get out of your head. So that's why Buddhists don't believe in the soul, and they don't believe in reincarnation, and they don't believe in all that stuff. It's because it's an intellectual concept and they can't tolerate it. And so the solution is just get rid of those concepts. Just stay in the now and stay in the emptiness, stay in the Zen. That's because those people who are attracted to that need to get out of their head. It doesn't mean that the conclusions that they come to are final conclusions. It means that's what they need in this life. So, this is going back to the idea that there are no limitations. And Taoists, unlike Buddhists, Taoists, their goal was to physically transform to a higher frequency. Their goal, their conscious goal, was to do the practices that they had. Do the meditations, the Qigong, the energy work, so that the frequency of their physical body would shift to a point where they would leave this frequency and they would physically exist in a higher frequency. This is what they meant when they talked about becoming a perfected immortal. And if you talk to old school Taoists, they will say, oh, I'm working to become a god. And that sounds completely opposite to the New Age understanding of Zen and Tao and all that. So this is now what we're talking about when we talk about the world shifting from 3D to 5D. When we talk about the new 5D Earth, when we talk about the solar flash event, we are talking about what Taoists have known for thousands of years, that's the goal. The goal is to shift your frequency so that you leave this frequency and you go to another one, which is a different reality. Your body goes with you. You know, the legends are that the Taoist master at the end of his life goes into a cave and goes into deep state of meditation, and the student shows up and brushes off the dust and the bugs and, makes sure that, his body's okay. And then shows up one day and there's nothing there but a pile of clothing, hair, and fingernails. Which means that his physical body has shifted and the only things that are left are dead tissue. But the living tissue has all shifted up and is in a higher frequency. So this isn't anything new. How can you do that if you're trying to figure out what your limitations are? You can't. So please get rid of that question. It's a nonsensical question. It doesn't help you. Maybe I misunderstood it. Is that it? Are we done? Is that all we can handle? Okay, guys. The other thing that I wanted to put here, which I didn't, was with 6 healing sounds and 5 elements, was the meditation on the 3 ones. So the meditation on the 3 ones we've done in live CE5 meditations a few times. I teach it in the 90-day Lightning Qigong, thunderwizard.com. Click on memberships in case you want to know how to do that. Click on memberships and you'll see it, and you can subscribe there. Warrior 90-day Lightning Qigong. I'm going to phase out the Maoshan Level 1 instructional videos because people aren't doing it. And another thing that's been strange for me is I put out there a live Zoom group class for people who are doing the Maoshan 5 elements. Nobody signed up. One person was going to sign up. And that was it. And that's mind-boggling to me. More time for me. So that's okay. More time for me to do the things I want to do. But I kind of don't understand why people aren't wanting more instruction. Got to get out of yourself. Got to go beyond your own self-absorbed experience. All right. No other questions come up? All right. So then I'm just going to leave things as they are. All right. That's it, my friends. Thank you so much for showing up and being here. And yep, choose your world. I think between now and the end of next year is when something is going to happen, and I think that our world is going to perhaps be unrecognizable. I'm happy to be wrong. I'm not attached to any of it, and if I am, we will talk about that if and when that happens. But I'm going to say yes to shifting this world and choosing to live in the new world that I see emerging before me. So, you know where to reach me if there's anything I can do to help. Take my help while you can. There might come a day where I won't be here. So make use of me and what I've got while you still can. All right, my friends, I love you all. Please be very good to yourselves. Until next time, I will see you all later. Oh.